Dubai is a very proud owner of the world's largest building, Burj Khalifa. But do you know who made this Burj Khalifa? A South Korean brand called Samsung. And if you think that's okay, so what? Samsung just built like one of the tallest buildings in the world, right? Nothing unusual. Wrong. They just didn't stop with Burj Khalifa. They have also built Merdeka 118 in Kuala Lumpur, the world's second tallest building at over 500 meters with a spike that adds another 160 meters. The famous Petronas Twin Towers, also in Kuala Lumpur, standing tall at 452 meters. Taipei 101 in Taiwan, once the tallest building in the world, standing at 508 meters with 101 floors. The Riyadh Metro in Saudi Arabia, covering 70 kilometers with 29 stations. And you won't believe, this brand reported 79.01 trillion South Korean won in revenue, marking a 7% increase from the last quarter. And this revenue is not unusual if you understand how many businesses they operate in. Well, that's just one part of their massive empire. Samsung is a giant with a wide range of businesses such as Samsung Life Insurance, Fire and Marine Insurance, Securities, Heavy Industries, Samsung Biologics, IT Services and Consulting, Theme Park and Resort Construction, even into textile, chemicals and fashion, Samsung Media Solutions Center, and the list goes on and on. In South Korea, Samsung is so big that it has its own town in Seoul. Children are born in Samsung Health Centers, learn in Samsung Smart Schools using Samsung gadgets, graduate from Samsung universities, and even take the GSAT to work at Samsung. They might even live in luxury Samsung apartments surrounded by Samsung devices, and when the time comes, be cremated at Samsung funeral centers. And that's why I said, it's the Samsung world and we are just living in it. Hi, I'm Hiral and welcome to Level Up with Hiral, where we talk everything entrepreneurship and businesses and break down complex business topics so that you can level up quicker. In this video, we will talk about how Samsung became a success just by understanding the market situation. What was the turning point for Samsung? Why Samsung will never lose their market? And what were the reasons why people chose Samsung over iPhones? Let's start from the beginning of this brand. Lee Byung-chul was born in a wealthy family. Yangmans is a branch of the Yeongju Lee clan who were a wealthy and reputed business family of Korea. At just 28 years old, in 1938, he started his first business, Samsung Trading Company in Daegu. Now, he didn't directly start away with electronics, one of the most popular things in Samsung today. His trading company dealt in dried fish, noodles, and groceries. For him, starting his company at the time when the Japanese people had control over the Korean throne was risky. But at the same time, it was important for local businesses to support the Korean population. Initially, he focused on trading goods in Korea. And by 1945, Samsung was already transporting products both within Korea and internationally. But when the Korean War happened in 1950, it turned Lee Byung-chul's world upside down. His trading business came to a halt and he had to ban operations temporarily. But instead of giving up, Lee saw the post-war nation rebuilding efforts as a chance to start fresh. He entered into new areas like textiles, food processing, and construction to diversify his business in a hope that he does not face the same issue ever again. By 1947, Lee teamed up with Cho Hong-jae, the founder of Hyosung Group, to form Samsung Mulsan Gongsa, a trading company that eventually became Samsung C&T Corporation, now one of Samsung's major business units. In late 1950s, Samsung expanded into a wide range of industries, acquiring three of Korea's largest commercial banks, an insurance company, and a firm that produced cement and fertilizer. Moving ahead, Lee also founded Chilkojik, Korea's largest woolen mill, in 1954. And it was a risky decision for Lee because Korea at that time depended heavily on imported goods. And Lee saw textiles as a way to reduce reliance on imports. It also aligned with his vision of industrializing Korea and creating jobs for the local people, contributing to the country's economic development. Still, the risk of failing in this business could have affected the whole brand's financial stability. But Lee knew that in this turbulent period, it is the best to take a chance and expand. So by the 1960s, the company continued its growth by acquiring more insurance companies, an oil refinery, and a nylon company. Samsung made its first foray into electronics in 1969, launching black and white televisions, and it was quite a hit. When we compare the market share of Samsung From 1969 to 2024, today the smart TV market is led by Samsung, which holds a 23% market share, followed by LG at 18%, Sony at 14%, Vizio at 9%, and TCL at 7%. So till now, Samsung holds the top position in the market. By the 1970s, Samsung began exporting its home electronics worldwide, and it also acquired a 50% stake in Korea Semiconductor. In 1978, Samsung created its aerospace division, and in 1985, it established Samsung Data Systems, now Samsung SDS, to meet the growing demand for IT services. The company set up 2 R&D institutes, broadening its focus into electronics, semiconductors, chemicals, genetic engineering, telecommunications, etc. The 2000s period marked the launch of Samsung's Galaxy smartphone series, which became the company's most popular and the best-selling product. However, now Samsung has somehow become the second lead in the market because of the brand that was earlier dependent on them. Yes, we are talking about the Apple iPhones. When we compare the market share of Samsung and Apple mobile phones in 2022 and 2023, we can observe that Apple has taken a lead in 2023, where the market share in 2022 was 18.8%. In 2023, they have reached up to 20.1% market share. On the contrary, Samsung was taking a lead in 2022 with 21.7% market share, which came down to 19.4% in 2023. Even in terms of sales and revenue, Apple iPhones are taking the lead in the market. So the reason behind Apple's ongoing success and resilience is largely due to increasing trend of premium devices, which now represent over 20% of the market, fueled by aggressive trade-in offers and interest-free financing plans. But the rivalry between these two brands is also ongoing because each of them have their own focus points. Where Apple focuses on providing premium product at an expensive price range, Samsung focuses on giving a product that is durable, efficient, and long-lasting at a premium price range. And do you know there was a time when Apple iPhones depended on Samsung, as Samsung supplied the microprocessors for Apple's early models. Back then, Samsung was one of the leading microprocessor manufacturers in the world. By 2006, they had also earned the title of the world's top-selling television brand, showcasing their dominance in the tech industry. But well, Samsung continues to outperform Apple in the Indian market in terms of its sales per unit. Also because iPhone range starts from 70 to 80,000 rupees, whereas Samsung phones start as low as 17,000 rupees. However, in India, Chinese brands like Xiaomi, Vivo, Realme are dominating, but Samsung still maintains a 13.2% market share as of 2024. However, it makes little to no difference for Samsung to not hold the top position in the Android market. They have already diversified their business so much, and now they have the power to convince the government to surrender their demands or lose a large part of their revenue, which makes up 22.4% in South Korea's GDP. But the question still remains, how Samsung has stayed on the top for so many years? And what were the business strategies they implemented for this? So there are 3 reasons behind it. First is their price strategy. Samsung employs a skimming price strategy, similar to Apple, to establish a competitive edge in the market. This strategy involves launching new, innovative products at premium prices, targeting early adopters and tech enthusiasts willing to pay more for cutting-edge technology. For instance, with the release of the Galaxy S6 and the S6 Edge, Samsung introduced the slogan, "Next is now," emphasizing innovation and quality. Now, these devices were positioned as revolutionary in the smartphone industry, enabling Samsung to command high initial prices. By setting a premium price point, the company maximizes revenue from early sales before gradually lowering prices to attract more price-sensitive consumers and expand its market share. Second is their marketing strategy. Samsung is a customer-focused brand with a diverse portfolio in the consumer electronics industry, consistently aiming to cater to varied consumer needs. As a part of its marketing strategy, the company collaborates with global celebrities to enhance its social positioning and connect with their extensive fan bases, reinforcing Samsung's status as a market leader. For example, since 2021, the globally popular BTS has served as Samsung's brand ambassadors, granting the company exposure to BTS's massive following. Similarly, Samsung launched the Galaxy A80 Blackpink Edition to target the fan base of Blackpink, also known as Blinks, thereby strengthening its appeal among younger audiences. Samsung's social media presence across major platforms plays a vital role in its marketing efforts. The brand leverages these platforms for product promotions, user engagement, and monitoring trends in the highly competitive smartphone market. On YouTube, Samsung boasts 6.27 million subscribers on its main channel, supplemented by subsidiary channels tailored for different countries. This global yet localized strategy helps Samsung maintain relevance in diverse markets while connecting with consumers effectively. Third, innovation and vertical integration. Samsung places a strong emphasis on research and development, allocating a substantial portion of its revenue to R&D. This investment drives rapid innovation, enabling the company to introduce cutting-edge products and maintain its competitive edge in the market. A key element of Samsung's strategy is its vertical integration approach. By manufacturing most of the components used in its devices, such as displays, semiconductors, and batteries, Samsung not only achieves significant cost advantages but also ensures greater control over its production process. This integration provides the company with flexibility to adapt quickly to market demands, streamline supply chains, and enhance the overall quality and performance of its products. And the biggest and the most important question is, why will Samsung never lose their market? The answer is diversification. They know that diversifying their business will help them avoid depending on only one business. Now they have divided their resources equally, which makes their finances stable and consistent. And I believe Samsung didn't just grow their business, they also kept their product quality quite high, even after a few rare issues. And I'm sure while you're watching this, you probably have a Samsung device at your home that's still working perfectly after years of use. Am I right? Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to Level Up with Hiral for more such amazing business case studies. Thank you. Ciao for now.